home to the 925 from Cardiff. I think you'll agree, the old hometown looks the same as I step down from the train. And there to meet me is my mama and my papa.
Down the road I look, and there runs Mary.
The reason that the recording became so big is that it appeals to everybody, because everybody's got a home, and 9 times out of 10 there's green grass there, you know.
The green, green grass of home.
Christmas came early for Tom Jones 30 years ago. Santa gave him a gold disc for his recording of the green, green grass of home. He went home to Pontypridd to celebrate his first million-selling record. The song was to change his life, sending him far from home and into international stardom.
The old house is still standing, though the paint is cracked and dry.
The story of it is about a man that's in jail, and he's just dreaming of home, you know, and they're going to hang him. That's the, but people don't really listen to the last part, I don't think. You know, they just think about the home.
There's a God, and there's a sad old padre. Arm in arm, we'll walk at daybreak. Then I'll touch the green, green grass of home.
Green, Green Grass of Home was based on the area because there is a local railway station and there's a lane that goes to the school at the end of the street.
Down the road I look, and there runs Mary.
Down the road, he said, and then comes Mary. Well, it might be a coincidence, but my wife's name was Mary.
Of that old oak tree.
The tree on the fork of the wood road were there. And that's why they more or less come with green, green grass, more or less come out of that tree.
It contains such a lot of meaning that anyone can identify and personalise the song to, like, their country or whatever it is.
It affected a lot of people all over the world, actually, because the Vietnam War was still going on. And I've met men since who were in Vietnam when the Green, Green Grass of Home came out, and they said, oh, they would be crying, you know, when they'd hear it come across the radio. So it affected a lot of people, and the Aberfan disaster was, you know, was at the same time. So, and it came out at Christmas time, you know, so people feel sort of very togetherness, I think.
The writer of the song is a man called Claude Curley Putnam Jr., who had seen a film called The Asphalt Jungle, which was the first film with Marilyn Monroe. And in it, there was an actor who played a gangster who wanted to go back to the farm before he died. And shot full of holes, he collapses, bloody, onto the green, green grass of home.
The old hometown looks the same as I step down from the train.
I'm sure in Curly Putnam's situation, it probably meant his homeland here, in Nashville or Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music, and now home to Tom's first producer, Peter Sullivan. Tennessee was Elvis Presley's home turf. Elvis was on tour a long way from Gracelands when he first heard Tom singing Green, Green Grass of Home. It brought a tear to his eye, and he got his band to request the song 4 times in a row on the local radio station. Elvis was one of 113 artists who offered their interpretation of the magic.
The old house is still standing, though the paint is cracked and dry.
And there's the old oak tree that I
used to play on.
J'avais peur que tout me soit étranger.
Hair of gold, lips like cherry, it's good to touch the green, green grass of home. Hey, hey, oh.
57 Kingsland Terrace, Treforest, Pontypridd. This is the house where Thomas Woodward, now known as Tom Jones, was born. This is the actual room that he was born in.
And the first time we was aware that Tom had a talent above anybody else's when he was very young, 4 or 5 years of age.
We'd all sit around and he would sing. And he would tap the table to his own accompaniment. And he sang Ghost Riders in the Sky. And he'd sing forever, you know? And we all loved it.
Ghost riders in the sky.
But you could always see he was singing because you could see his lips moving as he'd be walking. He was forever singing to himself.
As a toddler, Tom moved to 44 Laura Street. For his fans, it became Mecca.
We've had people knocking the door, coming in. Can they come in to have a look? And we've had letters asking if we will send them grass from the garden. Well, as you can see, there's no grass in the garden. So my father, he cut grass from their garden and sent them to them, you know. And we've had other people come in to borrow knives and scissors to cut some heather from across the road.
I had tuberculosis, which a lot of kids did at that time. It was in 1952, when I was 12, until 54. So I was bedridden for 2 years, really.
When he had the TB, and he used to have the guitar, and you could hear him singing then in the back room, you know.
All my creative abilities came out, I think, during that time, because I didn't have anything else to do. You know, I had to do everything in the one room, so I couldn't go playing with the kids in the street. And so I started to, you know, get more interested in music and art as well. I used to draw a lot, you know.
He changed then. I think he had an ambition to succeed in singing, you know, from that time.
His interest in music was matched only by his interest in girls. He met his favourite, Linda, now his wife, at school.
It was more or less the second year I was in with Linda in the same form, and they more or less met in the second year, and they seemed to stay together. Well, they've been together ever since, but they met in about the second year we were in school.
My father-in-law died just after we got married. He had tuberculosis. That was a bit sad. So then I lived in Three Cliff Terrace with my wife and my son and my mother-in-law.
The only contact, if you want to say any contact I had with him was sort of indirect, and it was with this moth-eared or rat-nibbled piece of paper that we found underneath the floorboards. It's a hire purchase agreement for 3-seater, 3-piece suite for £37.
He had to go and get money to provide a home for his wife and son. That was when he went and worked in the paper mills. And he got so much that he couldn't handle it, because obviously he's out late in the night and he had to be in work at 6 the next day. So he packed that in and he went working on the buildings, which was a day's regular job.
He needed time, you know, to go around the clubs, and I don't think you could mix the two, really.
Everybody sung at that time, you see. They had to make their own entertainment. There was no television or nothing like that, just the wireless. And on a Saturday night, everybody got up and sang in the respective clubs they went to.
My aunties, uncles and my cousins, they would all go to the Wood Road Club. So that was the place. And one of my uncles was the chairman there as well years ago. His name was Georgie Woodward, who was, they called him Snowy because he had white hair. He wanted to get me there when I was a kid, but my mother wouldn't let him. You know, he would listen to me sing in parties and stuff, and he'd say, "Oh, you got to, you know, I got to put this boy on the stage in the Wood Road Club." And my mother said, "He'll be there soon enough. You know, he's not going yet."
His mother was right. The Wood Road Club goes down in pop history as the first venue where Tom was actually paid to sing. It wasn't Snowy that booked him, but Charlie Ashman.
I said, "Tom, do us a favour tonight, boy." "What's that, Charlie?" said. "Give us a couple of tunes." "Certainly," he said. "Anything with the club," he said. He sang 3 songs off the reel. He had encore for 2 more. I said, "You are, Tom, here's £1. "What's that for?" he said. "We're entertaining us tonight," I said. "You've done a hell of a good job." "Excellent," I said. "Everybody enjoyed you." £1, he said. Aye. So we give him the £1.
My darling,
It was Tom's first break, but these were the days of the band, and he didn't have one. Pontypridd's top band at the time was the Senators, and they already had a singer, Tommy Pittman.
In time goes by so slowly. In time can do so much.
We were playing at the YM week in, week out every Friday night. I was getting a bit fed up with this all the time. And on the way to the gig, I called in the local pub. Lads run a game of cards. 3-card brag, I believe it was. I sat in and started a little bit of luck, and then I started to lose, and I couldn't leave it. And the lads were coming, come on, you've got to sing up the YM. Oh, I'm not bothering, I'll go in tonight. Which was a terrible thing to do, really, but I was young. And Vernon, the bass player up there, knew where Tom was at the time.
And I said, Vernon, it's a Friday night, you know, I mean, it's, you know, it's, it's beer night. I said, they don't sell beer in the YMCA, you know what I mean? It's, he said, well, what about if we put a crate behind the curtain, you know, in the back of light ales, you know? I said, well, okay, you know, that sounds all right, so I thought I'd give it a try.
We covered the night. Then we had a meeting in Red Velen. Some wanted me in, some wanted me out. Then someone suggested 2 singers. But Tom said, no, it's either I'm going to be the singer or not. I'll walk out now. So they went Tom's way. He had this, something that we didn't have. Because we could sing the Elvis Presleys and the Buddy Hollys, and we could do all those. But Tom had his own voice.
Are you?
I thought I was on the better of the deal, because I had a season in Butlins with the Strollers. And I thought, yeah, we're on the way.
They were always very popular, the Senators. The thing is, they were such a handsome group. They were all handsome boys. The girls used to drool over him. I mean, I was one of them. They were a great-looking group and a tidy group.
He used to put all his self into the songs, you know. He used to really go to town on them, you know. And the boys used to love it. They really did, and the girls. But for the boys to be quiet and hold a silence, they had to be good.
In workingmen's clubs in those days, they didn't like rock and roll music, you know, and I mean, in Wales, they wanted to hear big voices or a funny comedian, you know, or something like that. So when we started going into these clubs, which I played myself, they saw the amplifiers coming in. Oh, Jesus Christ, you know, amplifiers, rock and roll, pay them off. I mean, it was like, pay them off. But I had been, you know, I had built up a bit of a reputation in these clubs, and I said, look, you know, don't do that, just listen. You know, just listen and then see. So I would do a lot of ballads, you know, and then smack them with great balls of fire. You know?
We would start to take it really seriously then, you know, because we were getting a lot more attention. It was more power to our elbow with having a singer as powerful as him.
Yeah, you gotta tell your mama.
Towards the end, they were queuing up outside the clubs.
Gordon Mills, the man that became my manager, he saw me in '64 in a club. He said, you must come to London. You can't stay in South Wales and then just wait for an opportunity. You must be here. If you're going to do an audition, you've got to be available if something happens.
Yeah.
The boys left the Green Hills for the smoke. The 10-hour drive across the border took them to the heart of the swinging capital, and accommodation arranged for them by Gordon.
We were down in this basement flat and kicking them out as we were running out, more or less. And it had 1 room, 2 rooms, I think, and a bathroom and a toilet, of course. He said, there you are. He said, 5 beds. He said, 1 for you, 1 for Tom, 1 for everyone.
They never had nothing, just eating, and if they have a meal a day, they were lucky.
I think they lived on beans, you know.
At that time, we didn't care because we were on the verge of being discovered, you know, and it was going to take 2 weeks and we would be then in the charts.
I was doing demonstration records for other people with pop songs that Gordon was writing. One of these sessions, he wrote It's Not Unusual with Les Reed. And he said, look, I've just written this song. Can you come and do the demo? So when I did the demo, I said, look, this sounds like a hit song to me, and I want to do this.
It's a damn good song, that. I said, we've got to have that. And we knew what Gordon was doing it for Sandy Shaw.
At the time I first heard It's Not Unusual, I'd had lots of #1s, things like Always Something There to Remind Me and Girl Don't Come.
And every step I take recalls how much in love we used to be. Oh, how can I forget you when there is always something there to remind me?
People were desperate for somebody like me to sing their song. My manager loved it, thought, oh, this would be great, this is #1. And I said, yeah, I think so too, but there's no way I can sing it. Absolutely no way. It's not my song.
You'll always be a part of me.
It's a bit like Always Something There to Remind Me was for me. It was just so me, that song, and this song was just so belonged to Tom Jones, and so I just turned it down flat.
I was really adamant about this song. I knew that would be the one. I felt it anyway. So then they let me record it properly. Because Sandy Shaw, the word that we got back from her, she said, whoever's singing this on the demo should, you should release it.
It's not unusual to see me cry.
When we cut it, it just didn't work. I then decided to remake it with a brass effect.
If you should ever want to be loved by anyone.
This idea I got from the bass line, which was dun, dun, dun. It was a sort of a bass lick, which I felt the brass playing that figure would give it a tremendous punch.
What you want to do? Why can't you say you love me more?
It seemed very, very important that a Welsh person was making it so big at that particular time, gave you confidence, made you proud to be one of him, if you like.
It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. It's not unusual to be sad with anyone. But if I ever find that you changed at any time.
That song's Not Unusual came out. Tom lived with Gordon, and then within a few months he was driving a Jag, and we were still in that grotty dump.
Tom was a solo singer. I mean, there was no question about that. And all he needed was a band to accompany him.
My only one big regret, which stands out above anything else, was that my disappointment in Tom. At the end of the day, he didn't look after his boys. Not one bit. He let us sort of flounder like whales on a beach.
They couldn't read music. So I said, look, these arrangements are going to be coming in, and you're going to have to play them the same day. Just can't do it. They couldn't cut it. So I couldn't keep them on then, because I was doing so much TV work. But they understood that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom Jones. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
Tom never forgot he was Welsh, and certainly never forgot around the wheat sheaf around this area.
Any chance that I would get, I would come back to Pontypridd. Instead of walking from Three Cliff Terrace to the wheat sheaf, which is about half a mile, I think, I'd be driving up in a Rolls Royce and having enough money to sort of buy everybody a drink. And like a year before, I'd be sort of counting the, I wonder how many pints I can have tonight. So that was always special to come back.
He came home so often, it seems everyone in Pontypridd has a story to tell about Tom. Lindsay Thomas remembers him brightening up an otherwise sad day.
Tom was sitting by here with his father, and one of my customers said to me that he wanted Tom to give a song. So I turned the funeral down of Sir Winston Churchill's, and Tom got up and he gave a song. And when he finished, everybody in the room applauded him. And then I turned the set back up then for Tom to see Sir Winston Churchill.
To the sound of muffled bells, the cortege moves now towards the Tower of London for the final phase of the state funeral.
I myself had just come back from London, seeing Sir Winston Churchill lying in state.
Tom, I think you could improve it. If you do the second Lucille, give it much more expression, attack it.
Back in the studio, Peter and Tom were experimenting, searching for the next hit.
Oh, baby, Lucille, baby, set it from a heart, yeah. Well, there's nothing to you, baby.
Right, good, good.
Tom is one of those artists who grew up not realizing he shouldn't do certain things. As the son of a coal miner, he was exposed to country music, so it wouldn't have occurred to him that he wasn't from the southeast of the United States. And he loved black music, and it didn't occur to him that he shouldn't sing soulfully just because he was a white person. So he immediately made impact with audiences in the United States that don't ordinarily listen to persons from these islands. And it's wonderful when you're naive and young and you're just yourself. On a larger scale, that's what Elvis Presley was, after all. He was a country boy who listened to country radio stations and blues radio stations. He liked both those kinds of music. He was a living combination of the two. Well, a little later on, a little more sophisticated, that's what Tom Jones was.
I can't get no satisfaction. Oh, and I try. We have tried. We tried. We tried. We can't get no.
He asked me back to his caravan for champagne. And I said, no, thank you. And he couldn't believe it. He just couldn't believe that someone would say no.
Most singers, they get, I'm talking about pop singers now, there'll be certain notes they can't reach. There'll be certain notes they'll avoid, or they'll cheat. They'll float up to it or go into a head voice. Tom Jones can just hit it with any voice. He just, there's a note there and he hits it.
He's a good technical singer, but technicalities doesn't really make the person make it, if you see what I mean. It's his sound.
Just help yourself to my lips, to my arms. Just say the word and they are yours. Just help yourself to the love in my heart. Your smile has opened up the door.
He has like a one-off kind of voice. There's not many people, I think, from that era whose voices were strong enough. And whose personality as well, because you have to have the two who are strong enough to actually continue.
One thinks as the voice as the vocal cords themselves. It's not just that. The vocal cords only make a little squeaking noise. And the main thing is the resonance in the nose and the back of the throat, the resonating chambers. All big good singers basically have large chests. They have a fairly big mouth and a resonating chamber.
But you're supposed to sing through your face, you know. So your head, the shape of your head is very important as well. I got a big head, so maybe that's maybe that's what does it.
No wonder he had a big head. He'd just been voted 1966 Personality of the Year, knocking Cliff Richard off the title for the first time in 5 years. Tom and the boys took off on their first tour of Australia. It could have been his last. Back home, he crashed his car and cut his head.
It's gone in with a crease now, so you can't see it.
In April that year, he went into hospital for an operation that could have ended his career.
They were giving me a problem, my tonsils. So, and I was getting a lot of sore throats through it, and so the doctor said, look, you should have your tonsils removed.
The tonsil is just situated there. One can imagine taking this tonsil out could interfere with the movement of the pharynx or the gullet to some extent, and hence problems singing.
We were a little concerned whether it would happen like that, but it didn't, thank God. In fact, it made my voice better. You know, I could never really use falsetto before that. And when they took my tonsils out, I could use falsetto. Strange, but it happened.
Rumour has it they were kept, but we're still looking for them.
While Tom was convalescing, Peter was trawling the songwriters for another hit.
I was under the gun because the pressure was on to maintain that level that he'd had with Not Unusual. And when Tom came up with this idea of doing Green Grass of Home, it was so different my original reaction to that was, look, well, it's so different what we've been doing. Why don't you put it in the act and try it, get a feedback on it, see how an audience reacts to it.
Peter Sullivan wasn't convinced that country would be the way to go. And I said, well, look, I love this song, I want to record it. So he said, well, you know, we'll try it, but I don't think so.
The old hometown looks the same as I step down from the train. And there to meet me is my mama and papa.
Les Reed made this big arrangement of this little country song, and with me singing it, it didn't sound country anymore. When we listened to it played back, then everybody agreed that it sounded like a hit.
In Germany, they took him down a salt mine to celebrate. Back home, they did it the usual way.
For the Green Glass of Home 30 years ago, we was all in the Wee Chief. We had a big do all day there.
They had all the family there, and they were quite a big family. The rooms were full. So that was it. They were pulling pipes behind the bar and what have you, you know.
Then we went back to his house, you know, in Laura Street. And the cameras were there, and it was very exciting, you know. All the family there. It was lovely.
Green Grass of Home literally opened up everything, because that gave us an opportunity to explore more of the country songs, like Detroit City, and then songs like Help Yourself and Delilah and all those songs in that same sort of genre were working for him. And that extended him into that Las Vegas and opened a whole avenue up for it, you know.
The irony was that the success of the Green Grass of Home was to take Tom so far from home to the USA, where he's lived for nearly 3 decades. Now he's reached cult status, playing himself in his first film.
Mars Attacks. And yes, Tom Jones.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone.
There's a Martian right behind me.
Hey, you're Tom Jones, right? It ain't unusual, eh? Tom, can I have an autograph? Anybody got a pen?
I must get back to you somehow.
Almost 30 years to the day since Green Grass of Home was released, sending Tom on his way, the folks back home are still turning out to greet their boy. They even had to put on an extra night in Cardiff during his current UK tour.
That was my dream, to be a professional singer and not have to go to do a job of work that I didn't like in order to make money. You know, I turned a hobby into a profession. So I've been living, you know, through a dream, really.
Yes,
brilliant. My heart throbs.
the man.
It's good
to touch the green grass of home.
It has really come a full circle, because this is what I started, you know, and I'm back to it.
Grass of home.